strength, muscle, strength, muscle, strength. So the question is, can you build muscle and increase your strength at the same time? Kinda. Let's get after it. Now, you can absolutely build a program that induces hypertrophy and builds strength, but if you want to maximize your results and your own personal potential, you got to pick a team because they live on opposite ends of the spectrum. It all comes back to the age-old question that every crazy person outside of Circle K asks you: how much do you bench? More specifically, what's your 1 rep max? Now, when you hear 1 rep max, I know it's hard, but I want you to fight the urge to daydream about being back in high school and shoving your little marshmallow prick into anything that moves and maxing out your squat, your deadlift, and your bench. Instead, I want you to extend it to everything you do. I'm talking side laterals, rope extensions, hell, even hip thrusts, because we actually don't care how much weight you can dry hump into the air. We're just using it as a metric we can measure from and then optimize for either muscle growth or increasing strength. I built this kindergarten macaroni art looking line segment to help illustrate why having the goal to build muscle and increase your strength at the same time is actually a huge contradiction. Now, if you feel like you were put on this earth to lift progressively heavier shit, then you want to spend as much time as possible lifting weight that's 80 to 100% of your 1 rep max, or even more doing things like negatives to maximize strength gains. And if your goal is to get so overly muscular that you can just bounce your tits on command, then science says training anywhere from 30 to 80% of your 1 rep max is optimal for hypertrophy. But I'd argue actually staying closer to that lower end, because at the upper ranges, you run the risk of losing the connection and just moving weight. Keep in mind, these percentages are all done to complete failure. So a real world example of 30% of your 1 rep max would be like sitting on the leg extension and doing 50 disgusting reps. Which brings us to another major distinction between the two goals, and that's how you actually complete a rep. When your goal is to increase strength, you're not only lifting heavier and heavier loads, but your goal should also be to lift those loads as fast as you possibly can in a controlled manner. You're obviously lifting heavier weight, so it's not really going to move that fast, but that should be your goal. It's like when you come home from a first date, one where you held your farts the entire time. You're not going to sit on the toilet and politely release 5 hours of frustration and pain. You're going to try to break the damn thing. When it comes to growth, the speed of the rep can either be fast or slow. It really doesn't matter because we're just using rep speed as a tool to increase intensity. Like this fucking thing. You can sometimes slow down and actually count the seconds between each rep, or sometimes you have to speed it up because that's the only way you're going to get to that ridiculously high number. Another major difference is how the muscles work. In strength training, your goal is to distribute the work of the nerve-to-muscle connections. In hypertrophy, your goal is to isolate it. In other words, building muscle is like marriage, strength training is bukkake. For example, to do a deadlift, a lot of muscles have to work in unison to make it happen. And to improve at it, lift more weight, you don't need a bigger muscle. You obviously need a stronger one, and you get that by applying stress. The reason that training in those higher percentages of your 1 rep max is more conducive to increasing strength gains is because not all stress is created equal. The stress caused by mechanical tension or lifting heavy causes your body to recruit more motor neurons, larger motor neurons, as well as increase the rate at which they fire, as well as changes to your connective tissue and the muscle itself. The stress caused by taking sets to failure in that 30 to 70-ish percentage of your 1 rep max induce more metabolic stress. Now, both will obviously induce hypertrophy, but it's easy to see why training with the goal to increase the load that's burdened by several muscles is going to be less effective at building muscle compared to doing everything in your power to keep those supporting muscles from getting involved, isolating down to just the muscle you're trying to target to the point you induce so much metabolic stress that you spit your protein shake up on your shirt like a big fat infant. That's why I've always centered my training around chasing the pump, because a muscle doesn't have to get bigger even in the slightest bit to get stronger, but a bigger muscle, always a stronger one. And because who cares how strong you are? Unless you play a sport semi-professionally, what are you worried about? Are you worried you're going to go to the grocery store, accidentally steal somebody's spot, they're going to jump out and challenge you to a car deadlifting competition? Just hit them with your fucking car. At this point, there should be no doubt. To get the best results, depending on what your goal is, building muscle or increasing strength, you're going to have to live on one end of this spectrum. In reality, it's more dependent on your personality. Are you somebody that can be really patient and methodical and sit there and save up all your energy for a few intense sets, or you somebody that just goes to the gym, picks a body part, and fucks shit up? If you're unsure or torn between which way you should go, Here's an easy test. When you're a kid, Christmas time, did you sit there patiently by the tree, counting your presents, waiting for that one moment of bliss to open everything up? Or were you the kid opening your presents with this shit look on your face and your parents had to ask you what was wrong and you had to explain, listen, I'm fucking 8, so if you think hiding the presents in the closet is still a good idea, you're dumber than I thought. Also, I got in a pretty serious sword fight with a dog, and I was winning until Mom's vibrating lightsaber ran out of battery, so needless to say, we need more. At the end of the day, if you're not getting the results you want, it should be comforting to know that when you stress a muscle, it has no choice but to adapt. If you're not happy with how it's adapting, be more specific with your training. Pick a fucking team. If you decide to focus on building muscle, I'll link the programs below. They're 100% targeted around hypertrophy. They are ridiculously high volume. And again, they're 30 days, 20 videos, and all only $20. Also, if your wife accidentally tried to jerk one of your legs, I'd watch this video. If your body type is that of a chode, this one will help you. But most importantly, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and get after it, get growing. Talk to you soon.